Hello guys, welcome to Cloud Guru channel. In today's AWS series first video, I'm going to talk about how the resource group concepts in Azure and AWS differs from each other and what are the similarities. So if you look at the similarities between the concept of the resource groups in Azure versus AWS, you will see that they both cloud providers have a similar concept of resource groups to provide the logical containers to help organizations in organizing and managing their resources. But if you look into their implementation, features, and scope, you will find out that the concept of AWS resource group and Azure resource groups differ a lot from their features perspective. So for example, if you think about Azure itself, the Azure Resource Group is a container that holds the Azure resources, and in Azure Resource Group, resources can be grouped based on life cycles, regions, or management needs. It helps organization providing a way to manage an organizing the resources, logically grouping them like VMs, networks, and databases. If you look into their main features, you will see that it enables the management of the resources basically, right? And of course, the resources within a resource group can reside in different regions as well. Of course, a single resource group cannot span across multiple regions in Azure. But it actually the resources within a resource group can actually reside in different regions. Similarly, the unified access control, in Azure we can apply the RBAC controls to the whole resource group, and which actually cascade to the resources which are contained within the resource group. Now if we go to the AWS side basically also has a similar concept of resource group, but it actually more of a tag-based logical grouping of the resources rather than physically containing the resources within the specific resource group. So it's a tag-based organization, and it allows you to cross region grouping, because you can actually group the resources across different regions, and it therefore it makes it suitable for the multi-region environment implementation. If you look from the IAM perspective, there is slight difference. We don't have the Azure Identity and Access Management rules and the policies applied for the resource group itself. You have to apply those policies to the individual resources within the resource group. While on the Azure side, we can apply the access control, RBAC controls to the whole resource group. So these are the major differences and the similarities between the two concepts. Basically the resource group concept in Azure versus AWS. So let's go and jump into our demo quickly. So let's search for I'm on actually AWS console. So I'm going to search for resource. As you can see, if I search for it, the three options appear for us. First is the AWS Resource Explorer, second is the Resource Access Manager, and third is the Resource Groups and Tag Editor. We are interested in Resource Groups and Tag Editor, so let's click here, and you will get the option to create a resource group. And as you can see, you have different types of the resource group in AWS. You can actually create the resource group based on tags, which is the most commonly used method. But beside that, you can also use a CloudFormation stack-based tagging or implementation for creation of a resource group. So let's go with the default option, which is a tag-based resource group. And here, I'm going to select actually all support type of resources. Now here's the key. So basically when you are creating a resource group in AWS, just like in Azure, you have to define a key and of course a value, because it's always a key value pair. So let's create a key of department, and we are going to give a value of marketing, and we are going to call this group name. And as you can see, here's the name, so we can call it marketing RG, because we're going to group all the resources which are owned by the marketing department. And as you can see here, there is an option to preview the group resources as well, but we are not going to do that, and we're just going to create the resource group. So the resource group marketing RG has been created on AWS. There is an ARN, by default you get it, and this is very important because this ARN actually specifies the specific resource within your account. Now if I go back and let's go and create an EC2 instance, which is basically an Azure VM in Azure. So I'm going to create an Azure VM, EC2 instance. Let's go and create launch instance. I call it web server. Now, as you can see, there is an option called add additional tags. That's where basically we are going to use the same key value pair which we have used for our resource group. I'm going to keep everything else as default. I will go with the Ubuntu, and there is a key pair requirement is there, so I'm going to create actually I have a key pair, so I can use it probably. Let's try. So probably I have a key pair here. Yeah, I have a key pair already created, so I will use that key pair. And I will leave the else everything on default, and I'm going to launch the instance. So I'm actually launching the instance with the same key pair value which we have used for my resource group. So now if I go back, my EC2 instance has been launched. As you can see here, it's almost up and running. Actually I have two instances, but one is being initialized. Now so let's go and go back to our resource group and check. Now we're going to preview the resources of this. So as you can see, we have now two of the EC2 instances, because I have created already one which has the same key pair value. But as you can see, the EC2 instances which I created are now part of this resource group. Now we have not actually placed this EC2 instance physically inside the resource group. It's just a tag value which is being used for grouping them logically within the same resource group. Now it's a very important thing, and I can show you that key difference to prove that the AWS resource group is not the physical container. I'm going to do a deletion activity on my resource group. Now as you can see, the resource group is gone. If it's actually I did the same activity in Azure, my resources within the resource group also will get deleted. But here, because it's always a logical relationship, if I go back to my EC2 instances, I can see that my instances are still up and running. And even if I deleted my resource group, there is no impact on my EC2 instances which are still up and running. So essentially it's just a tag based relationship which is actually creating a relationship between the resources and the resource group. The question is, if it's not physical container, what is the main advantage we're getting out of using AWS resource group? Essentially, if you look into the benefits of using the resource group, it's a lot. Just like in Azure, we actually able to do the simplified resource organization by using the concept of the AWS resource group. We can do our cross-region resource management. We can also improve security and access control. We can streamline the operations and automation. And we, of course, the most important one, we can actually do the cost management and billing optimization. Essentially, we can do the cost based on tagging and based on the resource groups. So it will also, in our case, out of example, if I want to know how much marketing department is spending every month for its resources, I can actually go to cost and billing section of the AWS, and filter by the filter value, by the key pair value, by the tag value, which is department. This department is equals to marketing in this case, and I can get the monthly cost of all of my resources which are created by marketing department. Hopefully you have liked this video, and if you have liked this, please subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in my next video. Thanks for watching.